mysteries abound around the world, from strange lights in the night sky to ghostly apparitions passing from one realm to the next. From the great pyramids of Egypt to what lies beneath the depths of Loch Ness. From Bigfoot to Atlantis, they are all mysteries waiting to be solved. Join Lori Phillips, Lauren Smith, Graz, and Billy Simmons as they search for the truth on Nite Callers Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. It is January 21st, 2016, and you're here with all the hosts tonight. Lauren, Lori, Graz, and Billy. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
Doing good.
I seriously almost opened this show like I was at work answering the phone.
You should have.
Oh, man. Human Resources, this is Lauren. That almost happened. Okay, I was laughing. Man, I need to have this baby so I can have my brain back.
She totally sounds like that, too. When she answers the phone, I don't even know who it is I'm talking to. And she's my own daughter. I don't recognize her.
Oh, I don't recognize you either when you answer the phone.
That's true. True. I have my professional voice. And then I have my laid-back, sit-around campfire voice.
Which one is this now?
The laid-back, hang-around campfire voice.
Okay.
That's the only one y'all ever heard. Yeah.
I've never talked to you on the phone, so I can't tell.
Oh, we're going to have to change that. I have your phone number now.
Okay. Wait.
Well, what's the weather doing? I know here it is cold and drizzling. It almost sounds like sleet, but it's wet, so it's getting cold. It is getting cold, and we had a lot of rain today. And Mark killed a hog this weekend.
Did he?
About a 150-pound hog out in the yard. Yep. You know, I told you that they've been tormenting me. Well, he finally got one. There was one left. And he came back, and I was shooting at him. Of course, I couldn't get the spotlight and the scope all lined up to where I could hit him. But he did leave and hasn't been back yet. So I haven't seen him. So that's all that's been going on with me. How about you guys?
No. Not a heck of a lot. It's just raining up here in Seattle. There ain't that much I can do about that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, you know.
Go ahead.
I was going to say we have two guests tonight. We have first hour we have Mr. Dale Boswell, and the second hour we have Nick Wilkinson. So it's going to be a hopping show tonight. So, anybody have any news? Anything they want to share before we go to our guest?
Nope.
I'm stoned.
Oh, no. On what? Dare I ask?
As opposed to winning what?
Yeah, I gave that one up for Billy there.
I think what it is you can't smoke in your apartment anymore, so you've been going out there hotboxing that cigarette, and it's made you dizzy. So you just yeah.
Yep. No, I got to get a tooth yank tomorrow, so I'm on Vicodin right now. I'm feeling no pain.
It's a good thing you didn't have it done today. You've been be all numb.
Just be sitting in the pool, chair going on itself, you know, no biggie.
Yeah, you guys can't understand me half the time anyway, you damn Texans. I don't know. The Seattle accent I've got.
Yeah. That you definitely do have. Okay. Now, friends, I couldn't remember whether we decided we were going to play the demo first and then you do the bio, or the bio first and do the demo. Can you remember what I said? I can't even remember.
Oh, doesn't really matter. I'll do the demo I'll do the demo and then I'll do the bio first.
Okay.
Good stuff, man.
That's good stuff, neighbors. Hey, man, I'm the Mr. LA. I don't know what I'm saying, man. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio presents Dale Boswell and later on Nick Nickerson at the top of the hour. And as a graphics designer, Dale Boswell has created and or produced artwork for a product that is more than likely in your home right now, but that's his day job. Many know him by his two prestigious hobbies, a country music entertainer and more recently a Bigfoot researcher. In 2008, Dale wrote and recorded a patriotic ballad entitled My Soldier Prayer. Powerful and compelling, the song honors our fallen soldiers and is predicted to become an American standard amongst our military tributes. 2013, and due to previous surgeries, Dale had to put his music career on hold, and it was then that he dove headfirst into his second most favorite subject, of Bigfoot. He now does extensive research on the subject and is starting to do more field research. Although he has not been fortunate enough to see a Squatch, his wife and daughter have. With his health finally improving, Dale has now combined his music and art career with his Bigfoot research and is having a ball. Thank you very much.
Here's a little demo that Dale Boswell put together on a song that he is working on. So we're getting a little bit of this new song he's working on. Graz, do you want to get that demo, please? It's going to be an interesting night.
Maybe you should let the sober one.
There it is. Oh, yeah. Okay, demo. I get you.
We call them boogers in the South. They whoop and holler and howl. Bigfoot outlaws on the prowl. We call them boogers in the South. Those 60 devils ain't no joke. Chunking stones and sticks at posts, stealing hogs and raising pigs. Bigfoot ain't no southern belle.
Welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio, Dale.
Well, good evening, all, and that was just so much fun already. I just don't know what we're going to do for the rest of the show. Good gracious, how are y'all doing?
I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think tonight is all about enjoying ourselves, truly enjoying ourselves. You know, I think sometimes we take it a little too seriously, so we need a little bit of light, I think. What do y'all think? Yeah.
I agree. I do totally agree.
So I know that we may be getting some treats later on in the show, and that you were going to share some other little songs that you had written. What did you call them?
It's basically a parody or a novelty type song. It's where you take and kind of change the words to a song that's already a current and usually a big hit song that people recognize. And there was a group a few years ago that used to do that called Pinkard and Bowden in country music. I don't know if you remember them or not, but they would take songs and just for instance. An old George Jones song called She Thinks I Still Care. They took the song and rewrote the words to she thinks I steal cars. Yeah, so it's just that, you know, you just take songs, you just play with them, and I've been having fun doing that.
Well, you think you could give us a little example?
I'll do it kind of a cappella, because I don't know if I can hold my guitar and my telephone and put it on speaker and how it's going to come out. I don't know what kind of quality it is, and plus I'm not sure about the copyright thing, so I'm kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing. Here just a few weeks ago, a good friend of mine on one of the Bigfoot pages I'm on, Bigfootery Jazz, he had a little, well, not a contest, but just a game. You know, it was like, let's think of a song, and you know, substitute in the title or in the song something about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and I thought that's cool. You know, it was right down my alley, being a musician, and people were saying things, you know, like simply irresquatchable and you know, things like that. It for some reason, a song come to my mind, a song that I played in my band for years and years, and actually I've never actually sang the song. You know, somebody in the band usually did this song, but I wrote down just the title, and it was from and I love Stevie Wonder's version, but Bill Withers' song, "Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone." So I just thought, well, ain't no eye shine when they're gone. And I thought, well, I like that. Then, you know, and this is a songwriting thing, I guess, because I was going to stop there, but it's just one of them things. The song just kept coming, and finally I wrote the whole song all over. You know, just it's about Bigfoot, you know, and it's ain't no eye shine when they're gone. Then it went from there to a Johnny Cash song, and it's something. It's going to go something like this. I tracked an old Squatch across this land of mine, with French twice as long as they are wide, and I'll admit I can't duplicate their stride, because you'll find they walk in line.
Hey, bravo.
You know, and you know, that's one of the things we know, that Bigfoot tracks, they walk in line. You know, their steps are always lined up, you know, for the most part. So that's one of the things we kind of look for. So then another song, you know, me being a Waylon fan, and actually I was fortunate to be friends with Waylon Jennings, and he was such a great guy. Man, I miss him. But one of my favorite songs that he did was called Lukenbach, Texas. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know that song?
Yeah, that's right. It was like in 1977 when it was a hit, but when it first came out. But you know, and that's one of my favorite songs, and I've been singing it, you know, all my life. So I got to thinking on that one, and I thought, okay, and it would start off something like, "There's only two things on now that's really worth watching, and that's good old cartoons and people gone squatching." Hold on a minute.
It's hard to sing a song, isn't it?
It's silly songs, but it's fun doing it. But
it's fun.
I do it. And you know, once you get doing one, something else will come, you know, fall in place, and it just, I'll be up all night long, you know, from one eye to another. But yeah, but like the chorus we're doing, that song goes, "Let's go out looking for squatches like Bobo and Monkey and the boys. A successful expedition is just watching and listening with our toys. Between Bob Gimlin's sightings and Dr. Jeff's writings, and of course old Dallas and Wayne. When we're out looking for squatches, it just keeps us from going insane." You know.
Hey, man, I like that.
You know, and actually, I wrote that whole song. You know, and you remember the little talking part that comes right after the breakdown. It goes up. So maybe I'll sell my tools and things, take a boat down Boggy Creek and float away. But not too far, because you see, finding Bigfoot is on TV and it's on all day. We are so busy keeping up with our posts, blurry photographs and new videos. Maybe it's time we went back to the backyard again. Let's go have a look at Sasquatch. Yeah. But anyway, I told you I'm having a ball with this Bigfoot stuff, and combining with my other prestigious hobbies that I enjoy doing, artwork and music. So it's great.
Well, can you tell us how you got interested in Bigfoot? I mean, that's kind of unusual for a country and western singer. We do have some famous people out there that have become interested in Bigfoot, and so we're really proud of that. But how did you get interested?
Well, my story starts basically, like a lot of you guess, and of course, the passion given film and in search of. But one thing that really sticks out in my mind is the National Enquirer magazines and the tabloids. You remember those?
Yeah.
I just loved those magazines.
I had Bigfoot Baby, and
Yeah, and I couldn't wait to, for Mom to pick one of those up and to read it. And so, I've always loved anything paranormal or mysterious, and Bigfoot, and of course ghosts, and just about like I say, anything that's just abnormal. I think it's a creativity thing. But anyway, so it went from there.
We're all abnormal. Help me.
Yeah, we are.
I know, but
let's just get that out of the way. We're all like that. Okay.
It keeps us from going insane. Let's see, it does. But anyway, I've always been interested in it. But then I was so busy in the music, I never thought about Bigfoot, of course, being in my area and where I was raised in Alabama and Georgia, the deep South. Until in 2011, I had some surgery done on my neck. And, you have 7 vertebrae in your neck, and I have 5 of mine fused together with a titanium plate and 10 screws. And literally my head don't turn much further than Patty's does, really. Yeah, so I guess I've gotten used to it, but my body turns too like Patty, so that's another thing me and Patty and Bigfoot's got in common. Plus, me and Wolverine, I got titanium on my bones, like Wolverine, heroes. So I got it all covered. But anyway, after the surgery, for some reason, and I didn't see it coming, maybe the doctor didn't either, but somewhere between the scar tissue and this metal plate, it affected my vocal cords. And I've never been the best singer in the world, by no means, but, I went from, singing, Merle Haggard Wayland songs to, Bill Anderson songs, like, still after all this time, Whispering Bill, just wasn't nothing there. And it was just devastating. I just had signed a major management contract out of Branson, Missouri, that was going to put me in, with the soldiers. Is where I wanted to be as far as my soldier prayer song, because that's what it was about. And as far as USO tours and maybe military base tours and things such as that. But anyway, after I woke up from the operation, it was that was gone. So I got very depressed, of course, and all I could do is just lay around, watch TV, and try to swallow once in a while. And then that's when I got into the YouTube, the social media thing on the TV. You could buy the boxes now, or you can just watch YouTube on your TV or whatever. So one day, I just, in the search box, I just typed in Bigfoot, and I was like, oh, good Lord, have mercy, look what I had been missing. And and I've been obsessed ever then. Ever since. I'm not gonna lie about it. And I don't even know why. I'm a terrible speaker. I'm not terrible, but I fit in good with the monster mountain guys. You know, when I hear I don't mind hearing myself sing. I kind of get used to that, but talking, I'm just as country as cornbread and coonbo and bear. So please, y'all bear with me if I make up a word somewhere along the way.
That's absolutely fine. You're in good company. We're all the same. We all have our accents. Yeah.
I know. That's why I was so excited to come.
Well, yes, Brad
my wife is from Spokane, Washington, so but I haven't picked up on her accent quite yet.
Well,
she's
I can
I
understand.
tell you.
I hate the sound of my own voice. Lauren will tell you that. I've told her that. I said, man, I wish we could find somebody else to host this show with the rest of the guys and let me just produce, because I cannot stand the sound of my own voice. And she's going,
I'm the same way. I just talking is just
stand it.
Yeah.
I listen to myself, and it's just like, oh my God. Oh my God! I got a pig under one arm and a basket full of eggs in the other. Oh my God!
Well,
anyway, continue with your story and tell us how you got into this. Okay. So
hey, I told you we were going to have some fun. So I got to watching, the YouTubes on Bigfoot and stuff, and then I kind of got, as far as social media on Facebook and things, I had a page, but I rarely mess with it, and the only thing I did actually was music stuff, music-related stuff, as far as sending music out to radio stations, and it's more of a business type thing. And so I kind of got into the Facebook thing, too, and that's when I discovered there was a Bigfoot community, I thought, well, where have I been? That's, Lord have mercy. And I have just been, I've been fascinated with it ever since. And, I love talking about it, but I love hearing. I listen to podcasts and radio shows, probably pretty much all day long. I rarely listen to music, believe it or not. I'll pull out the guitar and do a song or two, then get it out of my system, and I'll go back and listen to some Bigfoot stuff and, write a Bigfoot song.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and that's, and like I said, I've been in it ever since, and I've had some fun, and I haven't actually got to see a Squatch yet. I think I've heard some, actually it was the night before my wife had her sighting in North Alabama.
Can you tell us what you heard that night, and then just kind of go on and finish what happened with your wife and daughter? Do you mind sharing that with us?
It was, and it was probably around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and
were you
I'm
camping?
Usually up by then.
Were you
we
camping or at home?
We were staying at some friend's house at their home up in northwest Alabama, and she's a Bigfooter, her and her husband, and they've been having quite a bit of activity on their property for quite a while, and so we were going to spend the weekend with them, and we played a little music and sang a few songs and done a little Bigfooting, but to go on with the story, that night. That we got there, I couldn't sleep as usual, and I'm up and about, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's that musician's curse that, I know so many people that, you sleep all day and play all night long thing. Mm-hmm. So I went out in the yard and was going to walk around and see if I could, see something, because, it is a lot of activity up in there. And so I heard what sounded like something was trying to impersonate a rooster. I could tell it wasn't a rooster, but I could tell it was something trying to act like they were sounding like a rooster. And there's no houses near these people. I mean, they live way out, and just on a lot of land and on top of a mountain, and just really cool. But and they got some dogs that usually let you know if anything's close by or whatever, and they were looking out in that direction. when I heard that night, and I tried to record it, and of course by the time I got my phone out and got the record button on, it had stopped. So I just thought, well, that's cool, So I went back and went to bed. So the next morning, we were up and we were getting ready to go to church with our friends. So I was downstairs with my buddy Martin. Their name's Mary and Martin. With my buddy Martin, and we were drinking some coffee, and my wife was upstairs in the bedroom getting dressed, and she just happened to look out the back window while she was putting on her makeup and things, and saw a little a juvenile squatch right at the tree line. She said she couldn't, although she could see it kind of clear, it was bent over. She couldn't see the arms, but she could see it was bent over, and she could see the back section and the legs, basically. Couldn't see the feet that had grass or leaves and stuff, but, she could see it. It was something bent over, messing with something behind the tree. So, and she said it was an auburn red color. And so she tried to reach for her camera, and by the time she reached and got her camera and turned, the story, it was gone. And, of course, I was downstairs, and I missed it. This is the second sighting I missed that was in my yard, basically. All I had to do was go outside, and I'd have seen something, hopefully. But anyway, I think I was more excited than she was, And she loves the Bigfoot thing, and she's interested in it, but not like me, She listens to what I'm saying, and but she kind of does her own thing. But she knows enough about it to know what to listen for and to look for. And I was saying, what it looked like, what was it? Tell me. And I was just so excited. She said, it was a damn little hairy monkey person. I said, oh. I said, well, I've never heard it put that way as description, but I like that. A little hairy monkey person. Okay. But I've been picking at her ever since about that. But that was awesome. So I can't wait to get back up in that area and look around some more and follow up on some stuff. And, of course, our friends are keeping us updated what's going on. And
how long ago was this?
This was about not quite a month ago. It happened quite a month ago. Yeah.
What about your daughter? Did your daughter have an experience?
Yes, she did, and bless her heart, she could care less about Bigfoot. I mean, she probably, she has no clue besides what she hears me say once in a while, So she doesn't really, does her own thing, but I think it was in July of 2014, around the end of July, at my home in Alabama, and I live right on the Chattahoochee River, basically, or we border. Alabama's on one side and Georgia's on the other. But we're right there in that area. But she went outside one morning or one evening about 2:30 a.m. and was going to smoke her a cigarette on the front porch, which she stopped now, thank goodness. She don't smoke anymore. But anyways, back then. And I'm glad she was smoking then, because I've been living there a long time, but and I never would have had this story if she'd have quit. Maybe, I don't know, but but anyways, and like I said, I've been living in this house quite a while, and there's woods everywhere and stuff. But I never thought there was a squatch out there. And then I go somewhere else to look like we normally do. Just. I guess it's, like people who live here in Cocoa Beach, they don't never go to the beach, but I guess it's the same way, when you got woods all around your house, you take for granted that maybe there's nothing there, you just go somewhere else. So this really freaked me out. So now, let me back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Earlier that day, I had just finished, and I had been wanting for a while just to build me a silhouette, a Bigfoot, lawn decoration type thing, with a piece of plywood. So I did, 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall, and being a graphics artist, I was able to to scale up to size and draw and cut it out with a jigsaw. So I painted it black on one side, and I was going to paint the other side the next day. So I took this 8 foot, you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I heard a click, and I thought I might have hit the wrong button. So anyway, I took my silhouette here, and I leaned it up against the carport, kind of facing the tree line, just so it would dry. So the next morning, I was supposed to take my daughter to the doctor. So we were in my truck, and we were pulling out, and we stopped at the driveway, to look both ways. And you're supposed to still do that, remember, folks, look both ways before you cross the street or go out. But anyways, she said, and she looked at me, she said, oh, yeah, she said, I know this is going to sound weird, but she said, do we have polar bears in Alabama? I said, Lord have mercy, I hope not. Because if we do, then something's wrong. And then she said, well, let me tell you what I seen. And, I was still at the mailbox there in my truck and driving and pointing at her watch. I got to get to the doctor, let me tell you on the way. And she pointed out right outside my truck, on the left-hand side. It was standing right there. And I was like, what was standing right there? And, of course, I was driving. I was wanting to, call the doctor, tell him we'll be there tomorrow. I got to go check this out. But anyway, she went on to the store, and she said she had walked up a cigarette and sat down, to smoke her cigarette, and looked over and saw a big, tall, she said the first thing she thought of was a polar bear. She said, but it wasn't furry. It was hairy, like a hairy. And she said it was a long hair, and said it was white, but it was a dirty white, almost an orange type dirty, and she said similar to like maybe a cocker spaniel, blonde cocker spaniel or something that that's kind of gets dirty. And she said especially like from the knees down, it was oranges, an orange type color, like you would see those type dogs when they get real muddy or something, and they're blonde,
getting that red clay. Yeah. Yeah. So she said she couldn't make out a face or anything like that. And this is what really cinched for me, because I know she does not know, nothing about, people like us and all that really research this all the time. She's never heard the ninja type thing, how they move away, people talk about the ninja. And she said the thing is, she said it was gone. She said, it like it was gliding. She said it didn't make a sound, and say it was probably not 40 feet from my front porch, because actually, I've walked it many times just to count it off, but said she didn't hear anything. And for her to say that, I know she saw something, because she wasn't even known to make that up, And there's actually, I did just a video breakdown on it, and you can look it up on YouTube. I think it's called White Bigfoot Spotted in Alabama or something, but you can see it. I'll send you a link on it later, and where she's telling herself what happened. But then, so we got back from the doctor, and of course, as fast as I could jump out the truck, I ran over to that area, which is just a small wooded area between my house and just one of my few neighbors. But, behind us, it's just all wooded and across, and, there's everything that, you would think would be squatchy, but, I just never looked a whole lot, especially in this little area. Just, it's probably a lot just between our houses. So I walked just inside the tree line, and Lord have mercy, at the tree bends and the tree structures. I mean, right there, just, right in my yard, basically. It's everything I've been seeing pictures of, as far as tree structures and tree bends and things, and I, I'm thinking, well, that looks like what they're talking about, and look how that's over there, and that's laying on top of that, and I told my daughter and my wife, Robin, I said, look, this, you can sit right inside this tree line, and look, you can see everything. You see my house, you can see the highway, the road. If I was a Squatch, I would sit right here all day, and you could just watch what's going on. And there's actually trees there that, I don't know if they put them there, or they dragged them there, or they fell there, but they kind of formed almost like you would build a big old fort. And I got some pictures of that. I'll send it to you. And it looks like if I was going to build me something to sit on, and while I'm sitting there watching what's going on.
So, of course, then I put up the trail camera first thing. So that probably screwed it up, That's the all about the trail camera. It did. So,
first thought
I haven't seen. Yep. So I haven't seen anything since, even though, I have heard some knocks in the back, but, it could be anything, but that's about it. That's about my best Sasquatch stories. I've had them within reach 2 times and missed it both times.
Oh, still.
That depends. Where did you put that game cam? Out in the woods or
what my trail camera?
Yeah.
Oh, my what did I? You were breaking up a little bit. Tell me again.
Oh, where did you put that game cam? Did you put it out there in those woods?
Yeah, of course. I first place I put it was pointing exactly at the spot where she saw it come out of the woods at. Then after my Bigfoot silhouette I was telling you about, I now call it my Bigfoot decoy, because apparently what this thing did, it come out of the woods, and I found out this later when I was telling somebody, and they said, they're very curious and territorial, and so they probably saw from some distance that black silhouette of a Bigfoot, right there in their territory, and they were coming to see what it was, and it's just right by. There's a trackway, the power lines, so everything's there for a Bigfoot to have come through there occasionally, or maybe live back in there. I've seen deer in the yard and everything else, and there's plenty of water. But anyway, I plan on taking my Bigfoot decoy with me next time I go out in the field, and I'm gonna kind of set it up and see if I can draw something in again.
Because I was thinking, instead of putting it out there in the woods out there, put it up against your house. I tell people to put it up against your house. It'll basically mix into the house, and they might not even notice it. That way you can just look out from your backyard. If you're not, you won't be watching out there all the time, but the game cam would. So if something's out there moving around, the game cam will pick it up.
That's a good idea. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, right there underneath one of your eaves or something like that, where it basically mixes in with your house. Or right by one of your, like you got a back porch light or something like that, put it next to that. Something where it would just mix in with the rest of the house. They wouldn't notice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I may do that, because there's plenty of, things like that around my house, I'm like a Fred Sanford. I don't throw nothing away. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to hide it somewhere. That's a good idea.
Continue.
Excuse me?
Oh, Lori burped. I didn't notice that.
Hey, you know what? I got a theory I want to share with y'all, if you got a minute.
Yes, sir.
And I've been wanting to get your opinions on this. And you hear so much about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and the different varieties, the different species, in different parts of the country, And I was reading Dr. Melba's some of her stuff not long ago, and of course she thinks that or her studies show that something 12 to 15,000 years ago mated with a human female, and thus a Bigfoot or hybrid. So I got to thinking, whatever this something was, is it still around? Did that something, because you got a something, then you got the humans, then now you got the something, the humans, and the hybrids, which is the somethings and the humans mixed together, which is the Bigfoot. So did the hybrids and the humans kill out the somethings that I would think was probably something more monstrous or more apish? But see, then you look at this, then you think, okay, you got the somethings, and then you got the hybrids or the Bigfoot. So somewhere down the line, maybe they made it again, a something with a hybrid. So then you got another mixture of something that could be
too, though. It's that there's different varieties in America itself, and this is what's been confusing some people about it. Is that possibly they've been interbreeding with themselves, and then like the Indians say, they've got their own stories where their women have been kidnapped. and that kind of thing. There's been some and some other theories about interbreeding here and there. And Melba's got that theoretically inner DNA. So there's going to be all kinds of different types. Some of the sightings are all different. Some have more of a human face. Some have more of an apish kind of. Even in Texas, we were talking about that last week. There are different types. Like Billy sees more of an apish face, but we're down in the southeast a little bit. There's more of a human type of face. I think there's different mixes all over the place, even within their own regions. So you might be talking about your original guy still around, but there's going to be mixes here and there.
Yeah, I mean, could I mean, and I think I've heard you talk about this before, but maybe the dog man thing could come from somewhere in that mix also. Whatever this something was is what got my curiosity. What was that? Was it what kind of monster was it? Because it had to be something a lot apish and meaner than I don't know. It's just I just love thinking about the possibilities. Like you say, it's just endless.
Then you take that even further, going around the world. You got the Yeti, you got which is a totally different type, and you got the ones over in China, they're a totally different type. All different types of descriptions, different sizes, different heights, different weights. Some are really big and muscular, some are trim. So, and another person has said before that humans are variety themselves, even within a family. You got some heavy ones, you got some skinny ones, even within a close family unit. So I don't think there's any just base type where you can say this is a Squatch and that isn't.
Right. Especially, humans, I have heard have inbred, you watch those Wrong Turn movies, that don't come out too well, So
just hear any fiddling, run out of the woods.
Got that right. If you hear a banjo, I'm talking about tuck and duck and roll and absolutely call 911 and Jeff Meldrum, because one of us is going to need some help. But absolutely, and which I've always told the people that if I was riding down the road or out and walking in, I see a Squatch, I'm gonna take off. As old as I am, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna run. I told my wife, I said, you might as well call Jeff Meldrum, then call 911. I said, because I'm gonna run after this Bigfoot till one of us drops, and unless he trips over a log, it's gonna probably be me. Absolutely.
Oh goodness.
But the variety thing, and another thing to think about is the feet. What do y'all think about? Some people, if you see an 18, 20-inch track, do you think it's necessarily a bigger Squatch, or could it be just one of those the variety of a Squatch made with the big feet? A normal size. Do you think things like that take place, or could be a humongous Squatch with small feet?
Yeah. That is something to think about. It truly is. I think that when we see a big track like that, a big 21-inch track, we just want to assume it's a 10-footer. We just want wishing it's a 10-footer.
Right.
We really we don't know. We don't know. I have seen short people with very large feet.
Absolutely.
Or average-sized people with very large feet.
I don't want to imagine a 7-foot Squatch with a 21-inch foot. That would just totally. That's something out of a comic book myself. I'll go with the proportion Squatch myself.
Be like that cartoon back in the 70s, the Keep On Trucking guy who had great big feet,
Yeah, Yep.
That's true. Yeah. I'm excited to hear your other guests too in a little while. I got to think, this is a cool show. Here we got someone like me who's singing Bigfoot songs, then you got a fella coming up that could probably sing like Bigfoot if he wanted to. You know,
it's really good.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
Are you doing any
Bigfoot
research
sound
in your backyard now, or what? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing some research in my backyard, and plus, you know, just across the river is Pine Mountain, Georgia, over in that area, and it's real squatchy up in around the FDR National Park, and I like to come down and we visit our daughter pretty regular here in Cocoa Beach, so you know I like to do a little bit of Florida squatching around the Merritt Island National Parks and some of those parks around here, but you know I don't go too far. You know at my age and stuff, I can't do like Derek Randall's and some of these people that I really respect and admire. You know I wish I could just go out hiking for miles and miles, but you know I have to kind of
Amen to that. I don't do that stuff either.
Yeah, and the thing is though, but here they are. They're right in your backyard anyway. You know listening to coon, bow, and bear. You know, and which are. You know, those two are they're my idols. You know, as far as learning about these amazing creatures or beings. You know, is that there's and I just really love the things they got to say about them, and it makes so much sense. And but yeah, and
you ever go out with other squatchers? Have you met other local squatchers to go out with yet?
Not many in my neighborhood. It's, you know, of course, I don't advertise a whole lot around my neighborhood. You know how it is, like with your relatives and stuff. You know, like my kids, like, okay, I believe that you believe, but you know.
Oh gosh, have I ever heard that? Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, not too many. There's a few that I can call and we can go hang out and do some squatching and stuff. You know, if somebody hears something, they'll call me. And lots of times, just being around town, people will walk up to me and they'll say, "Oh, you're that singing Bigfoot guy." I said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." And they'll tell me stories of a Sasquatch or Bigfoot encounter, and you know, like you say, and like you've read, there's so many that goes undocumented, and there's not really many documented in my area around Phoenix City, Eufaula, Columbus, Georgia, but I bet there's a lot of them that you know just hadn't been documented, because you know I hear people just every other day telling me a story, and so I write it down and I'll try to get out and you know and see what they're seeing, and of course I'm careful about what I post, and I like to post the interesting things and try to keep something a little different, but you know we're all in it just to keep us from going insane.
Now, doesn't Pat Rance have a place up there, or he was just visiting?
Does who?
No, Pat Rance lives in Longwood, Florida. So
right.
He researches in Ocala National Forest and also over there in the Green Swamp.
Yeah,
right.
Oh,
yeah.
that's up
I thought he was
Orlando.
researching up there in Alabama too, though.
Oh yeah, he was. He was actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he still is or not. I don't know if that place is still available.
Him and Anthony Yon used to go up there. Anthony Yon lives up there.
It
just
was
north
around
of Birmingham.
Sylacauga. That's where they were researching at. In fact, I've been there a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. It was around the Tuscaloosa area, what I was talking about.
Yes.
Which is up around, you know, Sylacauga area too. So yeah, it is. It's really, you know, I guess I live right at the base of the mountain range there, because even though we do have mountains, I mean, we can go an hour and a half, you know, towards Tuscaloosa, and it just really gets, you know, cool mountain. It's something I just don't see all the time, you know, the really cool mountains and the really squatchy mountains.
Well, you know what I experienced the 2 times that I went to Alabama was the boldness, because I had a sighting while I was there. I didn't realize it was a sighting. I saw something dark standing in the pine trees. It was a deer leaf, and it had new growth pine all over it. And I saw something dark standing there. Well, I just kind of thought it was a shadow. And I looked away, and then when I looked back, it was gone.
Wow.
And then it wasn't long after that another person there said they saw something black moving on the other side of our camp. And so we set up the camera, and, of course, it really didn't come out, but you can see something moving. You can't really make out what it is. But it was just, we've had several experiences where they just seem to want to, they're very, very curious to the point where, down here, they're very elusive. And it's almost as if when they get ready to be seen, they'll be seen. But up there, they don't seem to be as intimidated by people. And so
a lot of white ones are seen in Alabama. Do you hear about that often?
Really? No, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, actually some call it the Alabama white thing or Alabama wild thing. I have read some cases they used to call it, but I have read several cases of white Bigfoots, and of course that's what my daughter saw. And and actually not long after that, I was at my doctor's office in Auburn, Alabama, and my nurse saw some of my Bigfoot and stuff, and she pulled me over to the side, and we'll forget that. And she said, "I'm gonna tell you something," and she said years ago at her home up around the Auburn area, Opelika area, Alabama, she said she lived out in the country a little bit, and said she'd walked out one moonlit night and kind of looked towards a pond that she had on her property that was lit up, and she saw what she thought was a big Labrador retriever drinking water until it stood up and walked off on 2 feet. And I said, yeah. And then I thought that's kind of like what my daughter had described. It looked like a big, dirty, white dog. So, and I've heard a few other encounters of white ones in Alabama. So, I don't know what's up with that. And but it's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't know how you hide being white. As good as you would, being brown or black or something. If you white, how do you hide it?
That's true. But there's been a lot of reports. In fact, there was one report which I read the report and it just seemed ridiculous to me, so I didn't really count it as a true report. But the only report of a white one in Texas was a 12-foot Bigfoot, and this witness went after it with a knife. Now, number one, why would you go after a 12-foot tall white creature with a knife? And so I just discounted that report for Texas. So that's the only one. Almost all the reports from down here, they're not white. They're all the other
colors. I think there's a song in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Going after a big white one with a knife. Yeah. There's a song in there somewhere.
I'm going after something.
One of my favorite videos, I think it's the Pennsylvania video of the white Bigfoot that the campers by they were by their campfire and they were filming and heard something and went after it. It's pretty good video footage of a white Sasquatch. Are y'all familiar with that? It's been around a long time. You've probably seen it, and you know when you see it. But it's just just a cool video. It looks like the real deal, and it's definitely a white critter.
Well, Bill is just now texting me and letting me know that the Lake Worth monster, that report from the 50s, was reported to be white. Thanks, Bill. I totally forgot about that one. So,
wow.
I think I know which white Bigfoot video you're talking about. It was out of Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they shined a flashlight on it, and it ducked and looked and run. But it's really good video. And
I've never seen the video, but I've seen the picture capture they got from it.
Oh yeah,
You know, they took
look for the
yeah.
video, but you like it. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh.
I mean, as far as I know, it hadn't never been debunked or or proven as a hoax. Which there's when you think about it, there's not many hoaxes that are proven hoaxes. A lot of them try to discount things too fast. It's just like people have a problem. Why can't you say, I don't know what that is. I don't have a clue. Instead of, no, that's a bear, or that's a possum with a raccoon hat on, or something crazy. Just say, I don't know what that is. And that's crazy. I ain't got a clue. I just say it like that. But we got.
Well, we're coming up on an hour, and we'll be going to intermission shortly, and we're going to play your soldier song. And before you leave, I want you to tell us what inspired you to write that song. Beautiful, by the way. Yep.
Well, thank you very much. I was very blessed to write that song, and it comes from somewhere other than me. It comes from up above. I put it that way because it's probably the simplest song I've ever written in my life, but it's gotten the most attention of any song. And I wrote it. My daughter, which is the one I'm visiting here, Tiffany, she was in the military, and she had got back from overseas, and it was just telling some stories, and she didn't experience a lot of the really horrible things, but enough to to tell me about it, and it just kind of hit home with family members and being over there. So we had been playing. My band was, it's kind of a long story, but anyway, she kind of inspired me to write it, and I got to thinking, here are these people giving their lives for us, for our country, and what could I do to repay that debt? What is the ultimate? And for some reason, I just thought, well, when I get to heaven, and I'm sorry, it kind of even upsets me to even think about it. I almost get to crying just to talking about it. But when I get to heaven and some soldiers in line, I'm gonna step aside and let them go in first. They deserve to go home first. And I thought I wrote the song around that, and that's the least I can do is just let them have my mansion, and I'll just wait. I'll wait on the mansion. That's where the song comes around. And I've been very fortunate with it. I haven't made a lot of money, for it, but that's another story in the music business. We're all starving artists, and very few actually make a living out of music, really. But it was actually one of George Jones' favorite personal songs, which was a very big honor for me. Some of his friends told me he listened to it just about every day. And and I thought, well, that's so cool, and he had some of my CDs, and they said he kept one in his car, and I thought, here it is, an icon like that, and millions of people around the world have got George Jones CDs in his car, and he's got one of mine in his. How cool is that? But anyway, I've gotten a lot of attention, a lot of emails all over the world from people in other countries talking about their soldiers, friends, and their family members. And, I would do that song live on stage and would come off, and people would surround me crying, telling me the stories of their fall and thanking me for their song. And I would tell them, I'm just a messenger. You are the heroes. These people are the heroes. Your family, your friends, those that gave their lives for our country, they are the heroes, not me. I'm just the messenger, and, I thank God for the song. But anyways, I'm sorry, I just to get off subject a little bit, but
that's fine.
Things, but I do appreciate you inviting me onto the show, and it's been a lot of fun. And like I say, I'm not much of a talker, but I do enjoy talking about, what I do know, and
you did a
try to learn.
Job.
Oh, I
did a wonderful
sputter.
job.
I make up words.
That's what makes it precious.
See, that you heard my explanation of. Well, you heard my explanation of Melba, didn't you? Ain't no way I can say all that metatarsocarcinoma DNA combined with the epilogical. You know, I have to have something made with her. So we got something in the mix with another something, you know. But
I thought that was one of the better explanations myself.
Yeah, you actually understood what I was saying. See, I told you.
I think that worked out well. All right, we gotta get on.
Y'all are a great group of people. Thank you so much for letting me come on here and hang out with y'all.
Thank you for coming on, Dale, and thank you for singing for us, and thank you for sharing the song. And thank you for the new artwork. Everyone out there, Dale did the new artwork for Nite Callers. So you'll be seeing that around. That was Dale Boswell that did that.
All right, stick around and listen to the rest of the show then, Dale.
Yeah. I definitely want to hear Mr. Nick, and me and him can hook up so we can write us some Bigfoot songs. Okay. How do you say Lukenbach and Bigfoot, Nick? You know, yeah, there you go.
Go ahead and take an intermission then.
Yes, we'll be back in a little bit, folks.
All right.
You are listening to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio.
Is freedom worth the price they pay? Ask a soldier, here's what he'll say: I'll proudly die for you, my friend. Though he don't know you, you don't know him. Say it's their job, more than that. They go to work, some don't come back. That's why I pray to the Lord up there. Lord, listen to my soldier prayer. If I should die before the war is over, Lord, let my soul remain here on earth. Save heaven for the fallen soldiers, for they deserve to go home first. Those pearly gates, they open wide. When I get there, I'll step aside and proudly stand till the last one's in. Say, welcome home, my fallen friend. So if someone asks, is it worth the price? Can I give back those soldiers' lives? No, I can't, but this I swear, on bended knee, my soldier prayer. If I should die before the war is over, Lord, let my soul remain here on earth. Save heaven for the fallen soldiers, for they deserve to go home first.
Lord, I know this is a strange request. In fact, it may be one you've never heard. But if you'll give me a minute, I'll try and explain. As you know, our soldiers fight and die every day for the sake of freedom, and that's one debt that just cannot go unpaid. I believe all our soldiers have earned their share of heaven. So if you would, if you have time, please make sure there's a mansion for each and every one. And Lord, if you need one more, well, just give them mine.
or they deserve to go home
Well, welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. I really enjoyed that Soldier song by Dale Boswell. He did a beautiful job. Beautiful job. My Soldier Prayer is the name of that song, and you can find it on YouTube under Dale Boswell. Or you can look it up under My Soldier Prayer and find it there. Our next guest is Nick Wilkinson. And before we bring Nick on, he's on the line, we're going to play his video and also read his bio. So first of all, I think we're going to have Graz. Graz, are you back?
Yes, I is.
Okay. All right. If you will go ahead and read the bio and then hit Bigfoot Stuff 3, and we'll go ahead and play his video, and then we'll bring him on.
Okay, in this next hour, we're going to be talking to Nick Wilkinson, a gentleman with a rare talent to uncannily mimic reported Bigfoot sound. Born in the eastern United States, Nick Wilkinson has spent most of his life as a Bigfoot enthusiast and skeptic. With a possible encounter, thousands of hours spent in national forests, and a keen eye for hoaxing, Nick hopes to uncover the North American Sasquatch as a species to be identified and studied. To see him in action, he's got a YouTube page, and maybe Lauren can put that in the chat room. And here we go with his recording.
These first sounds are the Sierra sounds.
So it sounds, you get the whistles and then what really sounds like a pig mixed with a monkey. I mean, this is like my fourth attempt, but not whistling with my lips. It'll take some work, but it's definitely one of the harder ones. But the kind of pig monkey sound, I feel like I just like bam nailed it right there. See, the way I replicate just about anything I can hear is my muscles right here in the back of my throat, along with the back of my tongue. I'm able to kind of move the shape of it, and you'll find that when you make calls, depending on what kind of call you're trying to make, like, hello, baby. So you got the ones that are like, whatever, Jurassic Park raptor. But these ones, real easy to mimic. Just, if you suck in instead of blow out, you get that pig monkey sound. So again, like, not being a dick, but I can replicate these. So
okay. Hey, Nick, are you with? Oh,
hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. Hey, you know, that's fascinating, the way you do those imitations. And especially the way you explain how you're doing them, which could be just great for some of us out there trying to do calls. Kind of gives us a different way of looking at it. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you guys for having me. The videos with the calls, I originally made those because I've kind of been playing with my voice my whole life, the only child thing. And so when, Bigfoot's kind of my hobby and whatnot, and you get into discussions with folks online, and obviously that was more of a retort to someone claiming that, most of the Bigfoot sounds can't really be replicated by people. So any recordings are just 100% proof, and unfortunately I'm one of those people who's no body, no proof. So that was kind of a retort against any arguments in that department.
I see. So, you're a Bigfoot enthusiast and a believer, but you're also a skeptic.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
And that's a good medium there. It sure is.
Well, I spent a long time as a stagehand, about 2 years, and just in the work that I did, you see a lot of prop work and a lot of puppetry, a lot, just costumes and things like that. And I can remember specifically a time where I worked for a Marvel show down in Atlanta, and they have a 9-foot-tall Hulk walking around, and I swear to you, if you just covered that suit in fur and threw him out in the woods, I mean, it would have been one of the best Bigfoot hoaxes ever made. So I know that the potential for these hoaxes are out there, and I don't like, things being identified as absolute proof unless there's, DNA, just a lot more clear footage, just something out there that's, you know what I mean?
Well, it says here in the bio that you spend thousands of hours in the National Forest. Are you seeking Bigfoot when you're out there?
I'm sorry?
It says here in the bio that you spend thousands of hours in National Forest. Are you seeking Bigfoot when you're out there? Is that what you're doing?
Well, a good portion of it is, but obviously I'm more of an enthusiast than someone who would don the researcher title, so I don't have a lot of equipment or anything when I'm out there. It's just kind of going off of the beaten path and, spending a day or two out there, just getting a few miles out and just seeing what you can really find. And I've got a few videos on my profile there of just things that I've found, trees that just too big for a man to have snapped that just don't show any sign of disturbance or anything around them. There's no claw marks on them, nothing, but they're good 6-inch wide trees that just get snapped. And, things like that, signs of destruction, I've always said were kind of signs of some form of intelligence. Everything from dogs to people and monkeys, they seem to like to destroy things. So when you're out in the woods and you just find random scenes of destruction or, the stick structures, the things that look almost as if they're teepees, these are the kind of things I've always looked for when I was out there.
Have you ever tried doing any of your imitations out there in the woods to see if you got some kind of response?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting subject. I'm kind of not very embarrassed about it when I'm out in the forest, and sometimes when I'm in more populated trails, I like to. I basically call it kind of a social experiment. I've not documented it on film yet, but just doing the calls, doing as many Bigfoot roars and stuff like that as possible. And the thing I find funny is if you're in a populated area, someone's going to call back. They may not be as good of an impressionist as you, but they're going to call back. And oftentimes you get groups of people trying to call back. So, many of the cases when people are out, in the woods and they say, well, there's no one else out here, well, you don't really know that. And from my experience, people call back just as much as a Bigfoot may. So, yeah, I've done it a great deal on trails. I've got a few stories of, making guys walk around a corner and they're waiting with their camera up thinking Bigfoot's coming. But But yeah,
I call that the salt pork syndrome.
Well, I mean,
see how many people
we're both
can knock
as embarrassed
knock,
in the situation.
knock at each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
But,
they were running all over each other in Salt Fork.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I mean, not to brag, but if you hear something is believable, and I say anyone can do this, all you have to do is be a dork and spend time trying to do it, you know. And so if you hear someone who's out there making these believable sounds, it's going to get you revved up, and you're going to call back. So I've had it happen on more than a dozen occasions, I'd say.
Well, it's perfectly normal because, you know, you hear a coyote howl, you know, you want to howl back, or you hear an owl, you want to hoot back.
Yeah.
Any kind of bird, you want to do the same thing, see if they will interact with you. And it's kind of the same thing with a Sasquatch sound or something like that. You just want to see if it will keep responding and maybe coming closer where you can see what it is.
Exactly. I mean, we all kind of want to be that guy who finally gets the clear picture, you know. So you know, if you hear that out in the woods and that's the first thing that pops in your head, you're going to get a little curious and maybe try to keep it going.
So I guess you weren't really surprised when you realized that you could sound like the Sierra sounds.
Yeah, you know, it's something, like I said, you know, when you're an only kid, you get weird hobbies, and it's something that, you know, I've always been doing. And so when I first heard it, you know, I was kind of baffled that people thought, you know, that can't be replicated. And I was like, no, boy golly, how can it, you know? And so, you know, you stand on that point without any proof, and I've never really bothered to have a Twitter and a YouTube and everything like that, and Reddit's pretty much the only reason I've ever made a YouTube account was so that points I couldn't illustrate properly through text or I couldn't articulate an argument well enough, well, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So, you know, yeah, and so, and since then I've used it to kind of branch into, you know, for the Reddit Bigfoot community when we have these discussions such as, well, how does a 9-foot-tall creature hide in the forest and stuff, and so I dressed in all white and I walked 30 feet out into the brush and you can't see me. So it's all kind of, you know, just point-making videos that, yeah, these things can be done, and you know, all you got to do is put a little bit of thought and some practice into it. You know, shortly after I made that video, the Ontario flower video came out, and it kind of upset me because, you know, I've never heard any of these sounds that, you know, I was explaining how you could do, and then all of a sudden I explained how, and then there's that Ontario recording of Bigfoot supposedly saying flower and stuff out in the woods, and boy, doesn't it just sound exactly what I taught people how to do. So, you know, so things like that, it's
flower.
Yeah, flower. that sucking in when you talk, you know, it makes a sound that we're not used to hearing. So, you know, your average Joe's not going to go, oh, that's just a guy sucking in instead of blowing out when he talks. So, you know, I was a little bit upset about that, but some people seem to be taking it seriously. I'll let some kind of expert examine it, but.
So have you ever had anybody upset with you because you were able to imitate the Sierra sounds? Were they?
You know, I wouldn't say upset. I've had plenty of accusations that I'm just using digital equipment to distort the sound on the video and stuff like that. But I've not really had anyone get angry about it. I don't really pick fights. I just try to stick to a logical standpoint and let a community of people decide, you know. So, you know, just majority rules kind of thing. But no one's really come out and just been very angry about it, though I do hear that's kind of a big problem in some of the debunking Bigfooters, you know, communities that are out there, is that they get really touchy, apparently.
Well, it's just like, you know, people got upset about, you know, the Patterson-Gimlin film, and the guy coming forward saying it was him that was in the costume and all, you know, because Patterson-Gimlin film is probably our biggest treasure as far as what we believe is true evidence. And so when someone comes in and tries to say that it wasn't real, and it was all orchestrated and had this huge story and all that. Well, for some of us, we just want to go shoot that guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand that completely.
He's trying to take away probably the best evidence we have and trying to debunk it. So, but not to say that's what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great. I really appreciate that there are people out there that are shining truth upon things, because it's very important that we get the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we're ever going to get anywhere if we stay believing all the time that this is this. When if there's truth to it, you need to know. And and with
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was through anyway. I was just going to ramble, so you go on.
Well, you see, we're unfortunately at a point where the Bigfoot community is still kind of a roll your eyes at kind of place, and it's mainly because, you know, as much actual footage and people who's actually out there looking for, you know, signs of Sasquatch, signs of skunk ape, you know, there's just as many who are out there looking for attention. You've got just as many Rick Dyers out there that are, you know, just out there to make a quick buck and just, you know, really cash in.
Make a name for himself. And that's the sad thing. He has made a name for himself. Everybody knows who Rick Dyer is. Even the people that don't believe in Bigfoot know who Rick Dyer is.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh,
and, you know, it's just... I got into a conversation with him once, and I told him, you know, it looks like you took one of the gorillas from the temple apes from Congo. Like that, the last little bit where it kind of pushes at the camera. If you go back and watch Congo from back in the day, that's one of the temple apes, you know.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, he had one great believable video, and that was the one from the tent where it's shooting out, and it's the Bigfoot rummaging through. I'm pretty sure that was his video. But then you look at it, and he was on, what, a 2-acre, 3-acre crop of land in the middle of the suburbs, and then you start to wonder.
Yes.
But, you know.
Well,
I mean,
you know, everything that he's come up with since is just, you know, if you ever say that you have an actual truthful thing, but then you hoax after that, then anything that you have prior and after is just disregarded. Because this community is very unforgiving. If you ever hoax, that's it. You're washed up.
Exactly.
And he keeps trying. And, oh, my God, I know people that went and looked at that dead Bigfoot. He was supposed Bigfoot. He was dragging all over the country. I know people that went and paid $10 to see it. I'm going, no, you didn't. You didn't. But they did. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You just gave that guy gas money to go somewhere else and peddle his lies, you know.
Pretty much, you know, and people, it just baffles me, because if Bigfoot's ever found, well, that's going to be world news for the next 6 weeks. So you don't have to worry about some guy, you know, wheeling it around the country. If it's real, everyone's going to know it if it finally gets blown out. I mean, obviously there's the theories of government cover-up and whatnot, and those may very well be true. But if it's ever, you know, able to, some average Joe to bring in a specimen and make sure he makes it as big and loud as possible before any of that can take place, then, you know, everyone's going to know about it. It's not going to be some guy carting it around the country paying you to come look at it. You know, it might have been back in the 40s when freak shows and stuff like that was around, but, you know, this is the time of pretty much, if I've got a pimple on my nose, someone in California knows about it. So,
exactly.
You know.
With our social media the way it is, there is no way that nothing goes unreported.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Well, you had a possible encounter. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
I know it's a possible, but it may have been an encounter.
Yeah, it's a highly probable. I've reported it to the BFRO, and I don't know, maybe their response is that it takes them a while because they get flooded. But the place was a place called Panther Creek. It's not a very, very large place. It's a trail that's about 8 miles that goes between two cities, and it butts up to a bunch of national forests. And I knew it like the back of my hand. I've probably taken the last 6 or 7 girlfriends I've ever had there as a first date. Like it's just it's my spot, you know. So I'm out there fishing for trout, and there's a beautiful little ravine that you come down, and you pretty much got about 150 foot of hill on each side of you, and on each side it's wooded, and it's Georgia forest, so it's really thick, and I'm kind of at an incline down. It's not very steep. It's a waterfall you can pretty much walk down, and there's a little fishing hole down there. So I've been down there fishing for about 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden I start, hearing little clacks. And I look behind me, and I don't notice anything. And by about the second or third time I heard a clack, I look behind me, and there's rocks coming sliding down the waterfall. Now, there weren't any loose rocks on the waterfall. It was pretty much smoothed over by time, little trickle of water. And so obviously, it caught my attention. I'm wondering if the stream was doing something or whatnot. But, you're in the middle of the woods, and you hear a consistent sound. And you just start, your brain works in patterns, and you start wondering what it is. So after about the third or fourth one that, was of any size, I finally, get a glimpse of where it's coming from. And these rocks they're not boulders. They're about the size of my shoe. But they're the size that if they hit me, it's going to do a lot of damage from the point where they're coming from. So, I kind of played it off a little bit. At that point, I knew someone was messing with me. You're in the mountains, and people get protective over fishing spots and whatnot, and they might try to mess with you, so I'm kind of blowing it off. But at the same time, I'm a skinhead-looking guy, with a big machete on my side, out in the middle of the woods in Georgia, and anyone with common sense, I'm not trying to sound tough or nothing, but you just don't mess with people in the middle of the woods. So if it was a person, they were awful ballsy. So I just continue fishing, and finally I just look over my shoulder, and right as I look, I catch a big old hand throwing a rock. And at that point, I'm okay. Well, someone's messing with me, and I figure it's just a really big guy because it's a big hand, and it's kind of gray, muddy colored, whatever. But it's dirty. We're rednecks, and we get dirty, so. Just write it off. I go on down the way. I don't want to have any trouble. And, obviously this guy or whatever is going to just keep throwing rocks at me, so I just go on about it. Excuse me, I'm running out of breath. So
I can't believe that.
I get about 50 yards down the creek bed, and then I kind of double back up. The trail's, I'd say, about 60 yards up the hill at this point. And I come back, and, just for curiosity's sake, I'm looking around the area where who or whatever it was tossing the rocks to see if, maybe they were there still, or maybe they had went down and took my fishing hole, and there wasn't anyone there, but there's a lot of slides going down the hill, like, someone kind of slid down the hill to the spot. And I go down to the spot, the exact spot where the rocks were coming from, and I noticed that the only clearing in the branches is a good 12 feet off the ground. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm a climber. That's a lot of what I did as a stagehand. And I don't know how they got up this tree. There's nothing but little inch wide little dead twigs hanging off of it up until the point where it kind of breaks and the canopy starts. So that was kind of my little, maybe, in true Bigfoot fashion, could have possibly been a Bigfoot. That's my little story there.
Wow. I think you had an encounter, truly. I would call that one. You saw the hand.
Yeah, I saw the hand, and it was big, and where it was coming from was very high up. I mean, it would have had to been someone 8-9 foot tall. So that's, like I said, in true Bigfoot fashion, maybe didn't get a clear view, but that's about as close of an encounter as I've ever been lucky enough to have.
Wow. Do you ever
It
camp
wasn't
out?
a bad encounter. It was just somebody messing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that again, Grass.
I say it wasn't a bad encounter. It was just somebody messing with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Wow. So
if
do you
it
ever?
wasn't, I may have been pretty close to death there.
Oh no. Do you
No.
think they're capable of that? I know capable is the wrong word. Do you think they would do that? Do you think they are dangerous?
I think kind of like a mother bear under the right circumstances. I know my family is tired of hearing about it. I like looking up, instances of supposed Sasquatch attacks, and there's a few of them, and even when you've got a seasoned guy out there who's guiding a hunter who says, well, he shot one Bigfoot and I watched another one rip him apart before I ran away. The people who take the report just say, well, you're crazy, and it was a bear. So, I do think that there has been plenty of instances where people have been attacked for one reason or another, but for the most part, I think they're runners. The smartest thing to do is to just stay gone. So, as a creature that I would consider pretty intelligent, I'd say they probably just run most of the time.
What about the 411, David Pilates? Do you think people actually disappear? And do you think it's Bigfoot related? I know I'm asking you some pretty hard questions, but I know that you've done a lot of investigation into these things. So,
well, I mean, you've got case. I don't know if you guys have ever seen there's a video of an Asian guy in some remote village in China, and there's all kinds of skepticism on what kind of disorder he may have had, but he's a gigantic man with the exact proportions almost of a Bigfoot who was never able to clearly speak any of their language. He could understand simple commands, and you have countless stories of abductions on women and stuff like that in the Bigfoot lore. So I don't really, scientifically speaking, think that they would be close enough related to us to interbreed, but at the same time, we don't really know anything about them. So is it possible? Yeah. Is it probable that people get kidnapped? There's kind of a famous story that kind of intertwines with the government cover-up stuff with Green Berets coming in and searching for a child that he just disappeared 10 feet away from his family. And, some people saw a huge man carrying something over his shoulder over a cliff edge or something of the sort. So there's plenty of cases that speak to, maybe Bigfoot occasionally taking someone, but I think it's most likely more out of curiosity. They see something for maybe the first time in their life that looks remotely like them, and they just take it. They're not smart enough to say, hey, I shouldn't do this, or maybe the curiosity just overrides their prey drive, but they just take it. So that's something I would say is probably entirely possible.
Mommy, it followed me home. You gotta stop bringing those things home, kid.
You spend a lot of time out in the forest. Do you ever camp out?
Yeah, I like to do the bushwhacking and build primitive shelters and so forth. I'm not much of a tent guy, but
you go out doing formal squatching, like research yourself?
As far as I've gotten for research, I've documented a few signs. I've made knocks and calls, but like I said, I've had so many encounters where people just call back that I'm never quite sure what I'm hearing, as a call back and stuff like that. I've never really had the money to dive into it as my full main hobby or anything, so not much on the equipment side. Most of my research has just been pretty much being out there and just listening. If you spend enough time in the woods, you hear and you see things that you just can't explain. And Bigfoot's always been something that kind of logically sums up those scenarios of issues where, like I said, the big tree snaps that you'll find out there, the rudimentary, little shelters that you'll find, and that's about as far as my research goes, other than enthusiastically reading as many stories as I can.
You ever start to get something in your head that you're able to experiment with as far as the sounds are concerned, like do your own sounds and see what comes back and see what works, what doesn't?
No, not much from that. Most of the, calls that I've heard have usually been distant, and the ones that do call back, like I said, 9 times out of 10, they're just people or campers somewhere over the next ridge. And most of my squatching, I've just recently moved to Colorado, and I'm finally getting a taste of what actual vastness and being without people is like, and that's pretty exciting because in the South, the woods, they're just full of people. They're hikers, campers, hunters, and you can never quite be certain if you're not just, like I said, hooting and hollering at other people. So.
Wow, Nick, you know what? I thought you were in Georgia.
Oh, no, I just moved to
Colorado.
Yeah, I just moved to Grand County, Colorado back in August.
Oh, my goodness, so I told you the wrong time to call in. It's a good thing I got you on Facebook.
Yeah, I was literally
because it would have been really bad.
Messages.
You'd have called in and we'd already been in bed thinking we just blew it up.
Well, I was sitting here and I was listening to some of you guys' little older episodes on YouTube, and I just looked at my phone. I said, well, let me go ahead and make sure they said 10 o'clock. And sure enough, you messaged me right as I was looking at it.
What? I'll tell you what. That is a chore, trying to keep up with everybody because they're all over the United States, all different times. Pacific, Mountain, Eastern, Central, trying to figure out where they probably think I'm just being nosy, but I need to know where they are so I can find out what time they need to call in. And I know you were born on the East Coast, and didn't you live in Georgia a while, and then you moved to Colorado?
Well, I've kind of traveled all over most of my life, but I'd say more than half of my life's been spent in Georgia. That's where our latest departure was from. So Habersham County is kind of my stomping grounds, that and Augusta, Georgia.
That's great. So what do you think about Colorado? Do you think there's Bigfoot in Colorado?
When I got here, I immediately started looking up BFRO reports, because when you get here, it just screams Bigfoot. You drive up from Denver and you go through the pass and you go up Berthon, and you're like, okay, well, here there are goat, elk, moose, and Bigfoot. That's what's going to live here. And I cannot find one report in all of Grand County, but Colorado Springs, a few hours south of here, is apparently one of the most Bigfoot, rich areas in the country. So, as much as Bigfoot in Colorado is, it kind of remains to be seen for me. But I'm about, I think, a mile higher than it is in Denver right now. And there's a really great researcher named Lloyd Pye, and I follow his work, and he always likes to make sure that he drives the point home that Bigfoot does not live in the primo niches where, humans like to live. And this up here is, it's -10 for 6 months out of the year. So if anywhere there's a hostile environment where only big mammals live, it's up here.
Now, I wouldn't go to say that just because there's a bunch of reports in one place that's a hot spot. That's not necessarily true. That just means a lot of people have seen it. And up here, the problem we have is there's a lot of hikers. And that's why you got so many sightings up here in Washington. We got a lot of hikers out there, and that's why we have more reports. But that doesn't mean some of the outskirts someplace doesn't have Squatch. And they might even have more Squatch. It's just that nobody's seen them.
Yeah. And my friends and family, they tell you if anyone's gonna see Sasquatch, it's Nick. I'm the guy who's always been into the paranormal stuff, the cryptozoology and things like that. So I'm going to be the guy out in the woods, pretty much going, Sasquatch. Hold on, I got to go run a mile over this ridge and see that.
Well, in the county that I live in, I think there's only been maybe 5 or 6 reports, and I know I've had more sightings. I've had several sightings, so I just don't think that in some areas, even though there are a lot of Sasquatch in the area, maybe there's not a lot of people reporting them. And like you say, you sent in that report. I sent in a report, the very first time I ever sent in a report, and it is yet to show up. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, what do they do with all these? That's a bona fide report right there.
Mine hasn't shown up on the website either. I don't get that.
I don't either.
And I can't recall ever being contacted for them, but
me neither. I haven't either.
The best I figured is, well, I guess maybe my story sounded made up and they just disregarded it. So I'm sure they get a lot of them.
I had 2 of the local beef row people contact me by phone because I gave them my phone number. They contacted me by phone. I've been looking ever since, and that's been a couple of 3 years now. And I still haven't seen my report showing up on the Washington website yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
turned mine into that Texas Wood Ape Conservancy or whatever the name is. And I sent my report into them and all my information and everything, and I have not heard a word. I guess they don't take reports, but they've got a database.
You guys need to fire your secretaries, or Mr. Moneymaker needs to get back there to the office and get caught up on his paperwork.
I tell you, I thought for sure they would get back in touch with me because the location was literally 20 minutes away from where they spent an entire episode in Helen, Georgia.
Man.
Yeah, y'all spent an episode, right down the road perhaps they'll, come out here and check this side of the mountain out, But nothing.
Wow.
That's
that makes
okay.
you wonder how many reports are not being reported. That are being reported, but can you imagine now that finding Bigfoots out there and more people are becoming less forward and stuff like that, and the reports have increased. They have to. So they've increased, yet we're not seeing any increase on the databases. What's going on with that?
Well, like I said, there's some who like the whole government cover-up conspiracy.
I'm one of those. Oh, boy. You can give me around a campfire late at night, boy, I could tell you some stories. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I hear you. I've been pretty much reading every story I can get my hands on for over a decade now, and the government cover-up thing, it just makes too much sense in too many ways, Yes,
I agree. Well, and I've had things occur and happen to me personally that makes me think there's something going on. And if you think about it, it doesn't take a lot to prove a species exists. If it's some sort of amoeba that's swimming around in the ocean that they thought was extinct, and all it takes is a picture of it to say, yes, that still exists. And yet we've taken so much more to prove that there is a relic hominid running around in our North American forest. I don't know. Why is it taking so much more?
Just the billy ape, that's a man-sized chimpanzee that hunts lions. That was, if you said you'd seen one, you were a damn liar up until a few years ago. So, it's just too much evidence. There's only 2 possibilities with Bigfoot. Either there is a large ape that has some sort of cousin or relative in nearly every continent on the planet, they're just a tad smarter and are able to evade detection just like the Billy Apes, or there is a massive self-esteem issue in the world, and lots of people are telling this same lie to get attention, and it's not even a lie that gets you the best attention in the world. It's the one that gets you eyes rolled at you, you know. So what exactly did people gain other than mockery from trying to say, hey, I saw this thing?
Yes. And, you know, when you see one, when you actually lay your eyes on one, it's a life-changing experience. You are never the same because you realize there is something in this world that's not supposed to be there. And that's the way I felt. And
or that I really am insane.
Yes, exactly. You know, and you will. You know, you absolutely believe it for about the first 36 hours, and then for the next week or two, you're doubting what you actually saw, even though you actually saw it.
And you just can't tell anybody because then you're that guy, you know.
Yeah.
I've told so many people around the campfire to have, you know, 6-7 eyes rolled at me, and then have one guy pull me off to the side to tell me about their Bigfoot encounter where no one could hear them, you know.
Yes. Well, you know, it is getting a little bit easier for people to come forward.
Yeah.
Because I remember how it was. Now, I've been in this for about 16 years now. I remember how it was back when I remember standing there in front of a park ranger, and this fellow that was showing me around this area, he was the camp host, and he was good. He was not a good friend of mine, but an acquaintance through work. And I guess, I don't know what he was thinking, but he told the park ranger I was a Sasquatch researcher. And I just wanted to crawl under a car. I did not want him to look. It was embarrassing. Yeah. And, of course, nowadays, it's like, oh, well, I've got a thick skin. But,
you kind of have to catch people, and you have to just say something to legitimize the topic before they get to that point. You know?
But now it's like when people see things on TV that are Bigfoot related, they come and tell me about it. I watched this and I thought of you, you know.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only Bigfoot person they know. And so I'm hearing myself.
Well, you know, at least that gets you exposed to a lot more stories.
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, none of them are going to tell me. Because I'm that guy. That girl. They'll say, well, have you ever seen one? I go, yes, I have. And they'll just kind of, okay.
But, you know, I love that Les Stroud is kind of in the Bigfoot topic now, though. I mean, he just legitimizes it so fully.
No, he's got to talk to
credibility to the whole thing.
He's got to talk to his agents about getting some people in there who actually know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, but him himself, I was really happy that he was able to expose it to a broader audience, and you know, again, so many people trust his word. The fact that he has, you know, encounters that he can only explain as, man, that had to have been, you know, the Bigfoot of lore. I was so happy. I just couldn't explain, you know.
Yeah, I like Les Stroud. I do, and you know what I really like about him is that he doesn't make anybody on his show look foolish, and he also lends a scientific credibility to the subject, and that's really what we need if we're going to be, you know, exposing this subject to the public. So, Grant, do you have any questions for Nick?
I'm sorry?
I was asking Grant if he had any questions to ask.
Oh,
okay.
Just, do you have any plans for the future with this little talent that you got?
You know, with greater exposure, maybe someone might approach me to go out on an actual expedition or something and lend a hand, but, I don't really know quite how to get into that community and everything, so, time will kind of tell.
Yeah, and this is your first radio show, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I've been approached 2
Hopefully
other times.
Hopefully it's not your last.
That's it, boy. I just can't wait till they ask me to dork out and do these calls on the radio.
Well, I was going to do that, but I'm not going to do that to you unless you want to.
Oh yeah, I don't mind. If y'all need to hear them, it's no problem. Is that y'all want me to do them real quick or?
Sure. I think that's awesome.
So there's a range. Like I haven't exactly been warming up, but the Sierra sound, that like it's described in the video. You blow out and you suck in, and you play with your tongue and your throat muscles until you find the range. But I'm not sure how clear this will come through over the phone. I'm gonna kind of hold it away from my mouth a little bit, but I'll give it a shot here. So did that come in clear at all? Did that come in clear? Okay.
Yes.
But I mean, you can do everything from the raptors from Jurassic Park to
Yeah.
Really good
that?
Practice.
Can you do the raptors?
I haven't been able to do it perfect since I hit puberty, but I'll give it a shot here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as great as it used to be, but
still pretty good. Oh yeah.
It just reminds me of when I was younger. I used to be able to do an excellent pig call. I don't know where the hell it came from, but it was like this.
Exactly.
I can't really I can't do it too loud in this apartment here. I don't want to scream it out.
Same situation I'm in.
I can do a barred owl.
Well, let's hear it. Come on, dork out with me.
We're waiting.
I'm rusty.
Well, that was pretty accurate from my end, so. You see what I mean? You practice at these sounds, and you get them down pat, and no one on earth could tell the difference.
I used to be so good at the owl call that I could actually call up owls. Well, Billy can testify to that because I did that when we were camping out with him, but I've gotten rusty. I don't get them to come up now, so I need to practice. Well, we're down to 3 minutes. Go ahead.
3 minutes.
Yeah,
I was
3
going
minutes.
to say the hardest one is the big, deep-chested, big-throated howl. Now that's one that I can't do. I'm not built to do it. But those big bobo screams, those are the bone-filling ones that I can't debunk those. Those are absolute proof in my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it's hard to imitate
there is
something
something
if you don't have the physiology for it.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe someone like me, just the right size.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we've really enjoyed having you on our show.
Well, it was fun.
Mm-hmm. It was. And I'm so glad you decided to do it. We feel so privileged that we got to be the first.
Well, I was wondering when you guys were going to sneak it in there. So my girlfriend told me I had 10 minutes left. I said, well, I guess I'll bring it up. So.
I'm so glad you did it over the air. Now people can't say that it was digitally done, although they may still try to, but yeah. One more time. I want to hear it one more time before we go.
All righty. Let me try one more time here. And stop.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, man, my Bigfoot wouldn't know what to do down here if they had somebody doing that.
Well, I'm taking offers, $10,000 free plane tickets.
Y'all heard that out there. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night then, folks. And I know we still got about a minute and 12. We have less than a minute left. I just want to thank you, Nick, for coming on, and we really enjoyed you. And I want to let everyone out there know that next week we have, I don't have, hold on. Let's see. Next week is Paul Hayes, and we've been trying to get Paul Hayes for a while. A lot of people have requested him, so we are going to be getting Paul Hayes on next Thursday night. So everyone tune in next Thursday night. We'll all be back here, except maybe Miss Lauren. She may have a little Xander by then, and she hopes.
We hope.
So everyone, say good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Remember when a small business needed a landline? Today, landlines are a thing of the past with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. On the road, at the beach, or at home, Grasshopper helps you grow your business. Get all the features of a business phone system and the freedom of a cell phone with our iPhone and Android apps. Features include multiple extensions for your team, calls forwarded to your mobile phones, voicemails transcribed and emailed, and so much more. See how it works at grasshopper.com, the entrepreneur's phone system.